When you start a new Minecraft world, you need resources and materials as fast as possible. I'm going to show you 11 farms for Minecraft that you can build in the early game without having to go to the Nether. When you've just spawned into your world, the last thing you want to worry about is how you're going to get all of those resources to build your first ultimate base. And you certainly don't want to go to the Nether to get your supplies, so you need some really easy farms to get materials, food, XP that are 100% made from overworld blocks. No soul sand, no quartz, and no, well, anything nethery. So let me show you 11 farms that will do just that for you. Hello everyone, it's me, Avomance, and today I want to showcase for you 11 starter farms that you do not have to go to the Nether for, so no observers, no comparators, and they're really easy. Now this is a showcase, so I'm not going to give you a block by block tutorial on them. However, I will go over the basics of how to build them and how they work, and whether they currently work on Bedrock. All these farms are for Java Edition, but a number of them will work on Bedrock Edition. And I'm giving you a world download in both Java and Bedrock editions so you can see for yourself. So let's crack on with the first one. Cobblestone generators have got a lot easier and a lot smaller because you can now waterlog leaves and they don't leak in all directions. Sadly, not a great start for Bedrock players because leaves won't hold water the same way they do in Java and the water will just flow out of the sides. As a result, this one isn't really suitable for Bedrock. The concept for this one is really easy. It's got 3 trapdoors which hold in the lava like that, and then we've got some waterlogged leaves. You can see when I put the water in, it doesn't flow in any direction. But if I put the lava there, that will flow to the water and that will create a cobblestone block. This is an improvement on previous versions because you had to worry whether the water would leak out and whether you turned your lava into obsidian. We've elevated this up just 1 block, added some hoppers and a chest and given it some length so we can get multiple blocks at the same time. So that's a dead easy one to start with, and the second one is even easier. It's a twist on the classic beef and leather farm. And this one is just a hole in the ground. These cows are in a 2 deep hole sitting on top of a hopper, and I'm just going to give them a little bit of food. So if I press that button, there is water in there that splishes them up. I'm going to give them a little bit of food. They're going to start to die as a result of entity cramming. And yes, I'm afraid Farm 2 also will not work on Bedrock because Bedrock hasn't got entity cramming. Sorry Bedrockers, but I promise the next one works. It also gives you XP from those deaths. Hit that button again and those cows drop down. Drop out this trapdoor. This post stops you falling in the floor and you get your collection of leather and raw beef right there. It really couldn't be easier and takes up a lot less space than the same kind of farm that is lifted up off the ground. Next up is the lava farm, which can be used for fuel and also for mob killing. Lava is a finite resource naturally, so being able to farm it is really useful. At the top we have got 3 rows of lava. Although you don't need 3 rows, you could work it on only 1 row. In fact, you could work it on just 1 lava block. Directly underneath the lava we have got a dripstone block with a pointed dripstone attached to the bottom, and underneath that we have got a cauldron. And over time the lava drips down into that cauldron and fills it up, and you can just grab a bucket and fill it up from the cauldrons. And over time those dripstones will fill it back up again. And you can keep expanding this farm to as big as you want it to be because lava is an amazing fuel for furnaces. And yes, this one does work on Bedrock. Next up, it's a clay farm. And it starts with just a patch of dirt, but that dirt is sat on a block which has got a pointed dripstone underneath it. We have got these stairs surrounding this dirt in case you've grown it in a field. If this dirt gets transformed into grass, it won't work. All you need to do to make it work is grab yourself your water bottle and wet up this dirt. That is going to turn it into mud, exactly like that. And over time what happens is that mud gets turned into clay because of the dripstone that is underneath it. The dripstone sucks the water out and turns the mud into clay, which you can then take up as if you're mining it out from a riverbed. Minecraft 1.19 gives us our first ever sustainable clay farm. Replace that with dirt and then repeat the process over and over again. And yes, it is Bedrock compatible. Next up, we have got a multi-story crop farm. This has got multiple layers of farm in a zigzag pattern, hydrated there by a waterlogged leaf block, which means you can have the layers really close together. Unfortunately, because we're using a waterlogged leaf block, this doesn't work in Bedrock. If you want to use this in Bedrock, you're going to need to make it 1 gap taller above all of those plants with a solid block so the water doesn't leak out. However, if you do that, it will work in Bedrock as well. Plant up all the crops on these levels and close up the trapdoors. Once they are all grown, get yourself up to the top of your farm by following the winding staircase that goes all the way around it. And when you're at the top, you can press this button behind me. Water will get dispensed and flush all of your crops down the zigzag pattern of floors into your collection system below. You can then flap down the trapdoors on each level and replant just from one side like this. Really simple with a tiny footprint, but you can make it as tall as you want to get loads and loads of crops. Next up, we've got our wood farm. And yep, this one is a bedrocker. This one is just a 3x5 platform of dirt, dangling in the middle of a 9x15 pool of water surrounded by fence posts. And there is a non-wood slab directly above all of those dirt blocks, 7 blocks high. All these fences are here to stop things from wandering in. They're not essential, but they do make it a little bit safer, because you could easily end up with mobs falling in here and ended up getting in the way of your collection system. All you do is come up to your platform and dig out the wood and the leaves if you want and collect it up into your inventory. And sometimes they'll fall into the water and not onto the platform, but that's fine because then it just gets swashed into that collection system, which consists of a hopper at the very center of that channel that runs directly into this chest right here that collects up the stuff that drops. It really is dead simple. No TNT duping or anything like that. Just chop down the wood and it'll always be there ready for you. Farm number 7 is really too simple for words. This is your Bonemeal Farm, and it works beautifully in both Bedrock and Java editions. However, in Bedrock, you are going to need to remove that top slab, otherwise your chest just won't open. In Java, leave it there, it's a great finish. This one is really familiar, although I have used some mangrove wood because it is 119. Underneath the trapdoor, we have got a composter right there with a hopper running into this chest. We have then under here got another hopper that runs into the top of the composter that is underneath this chest. If I pop in these wheat seeds or any other compostable item that you might want to put into it, it goes from the chest into that hopper into the composter, that composter into that hopper, and then into this chest to collect up for your bone meal, which you can maybe then use to grow up those trees quicker. This next one is a bamboo and sugarcane farm, which traditionally you'd need to have gone to the Nether to make, because these usually would use an observer which needs quartz to craft. But not this one, and I'll show you how. This farm has got a really narrow footprint because that sugarcane has been hydrated by those waterlogged leaf blocks. This means that you don't have to have loads of space to hold the water away from your minecart with hoppers. The pistons are fired by redstone in the normal way, but they're joined up to this circuit at the back, so they both fire at the same time. We have got a block of sand right there that is on a piston. That piston will fire when we get a signal, and it will drop when that signal is taken away. Now, I've used a lot of redstone repeaters just to give a nice delay so we don't have lots and lots of firing. The more time those pistons aren't fired, the more time there is likely that you could get these things growing. So we've got a complete 2 circuits of redstone to go through. This circuit has got 36 redstone repeaters all on 4 ticks, and the signal has to go round the entire circuit twice between each piston firing. That means that we've got very nearly 30 seconds of real time between each piston, which is enough to allow some growth of both the sugarcane and also that bamboo. But you could have fewer repeaters if you wanted to. It just means that the pistons fire more often. Now, obviously, for Bedrock, you've got the challenge of these waterlogged leaf blocks, so you're going to have a slightly bigger footprint to be able to hydrate those sugar canes. However, it does kind of work. What happens is, on one circuit, the pistons are extended, and on the second circuit, the pistons are retracted, so you don't get as good a growth as you would on Java, but it does kind of work. Next up, we've got a wool farm that works without any observers or any comparators. Wool is an even more important block in Minecraft 1.19 because you can use it to deaden the signals from the Sculk sensors to stop the warden from being spawned, or to make really intricate wireless redstone machines. Ordinarily with a wool farm, you would have an observer look at the grass block that the sheep is standing on just to see when it eats that grass. That will then trigger the shears inside a dispenser that will cut the wool. But we don't have that observer in this system. We have got a really simple redstone circuit that is made up of a number of redstone repeaters all on 4-tick delay and redstone torches which are sat underneath these dispensers. The redstone circuit takes about 20 seconds to do a complete 2 laps, and you need 2 laps between each of those dispensers firing because it turns off the torches and then it turns the torches back on again. When those torches go on, they fire the dispenser, and then the dispenser tries to use the shears inside them to clip the sheep. If the sheep doesn't need clipping, then the shears don't take any durability damage. If the sheep does need clipping, it takes off the wool, which gets collected by the minecart with hopper underneath. This farm I've got behind me has all 16 colours of sheep because this works beautifully with a big long row, but of course you could do it with a much shorter row. You'd end up having the shears going more quickly, but that doesn't matter again because the durability won't be affected unless the sheep actually need shearing. A really simple farm, this one. Waiting for that green sheep in the background to get clipped. It's going to go in a second. There it goes. And yes, Bedrockers, this one actually works for you really well. Farm number 10 is a super simple sweetberry farm. But Avo, I hear you say sweetberries are a rubbish food source. Now I agree with you, but they are still a food source. And if you eat a few of them, they will make sure your hearts are back up. But you can also use these things for protection. If you pop them around your base, they are going to give mobs a really hard time trying to get to you. Or alternatively, they're really nice to be used in decorations. To use it, push yourself up against these slabs here, which protect you against the sweetberries yourself. Nothing more embarrassing than a sweetberry death. And then, holding the right mouse button, point towards the sweetberries and just walk yourself along the row, exactly like that, all the way to the end, and then pop them into the chest. You'll notice that they'll start to grow back. You maybe haven't picked up every one of them, but that's fine. Just run back along your row, and they'll start to grow back already because they grow really quickly. And this one is totally bedrockable. And finally, we've got what's possibly the world's most simple XP farm. We've adapted our cow farm by putting a Sculk catalyst right next to the owl, and this is a really great way of getting lots of XP. I've reset my XP level down to exactly 0. I'm taking a load of wheat. I'm going to come inside and I'm going to feed up my cows in exactly the same way as I have before. All those hearts coming up, they're going to breed up and they're going to start to die. And that Sculk catalyst is going to love it because the souls of the cows now flowing into it, and it sends out the Sculk pulse to make all of this lovely stone and sandstone underneath it into Sculk blocks, which you can break for extra XP over and above that which the cows give you. So I've bred those cows to the maximum. I'm going to press that button to drop them back down again. I've already got 9.5 levels just from the cows themselves. I'm then going to mine out this Sculk using this hoe, and that's going to give me extra on top of that. I'm very nearly at 10 levels just with those few blocks of Sculk. There's no point you looking out the edge there, you're mine. You can then replace these blocks with more naturally spawning blocks, things like sandstone, stone, dirt, sand, anything that you would find in the wild that hasn't been man-made. What you could do is smelt up all of that cobblestone that you got from farm 1 using the lava that you got from farm 3 to replace it with stone, and then you could just recycle this over and over and over. If you decide not to take up the Sculk right at the start and have a number of cycles of this cow farm, then you'll find that the Sculk spreads right the way across it, and you get far more Sculk blocks to take whenever you need the XP. So this is basically a mini XP bank. This area here has been made out of cobble just to stop it turning into Sculk so it doesn't cause problems for your cows. And there you have 11 really easy starter farms that don't require you going to the Nether at all. Every single block can be got from the overworld, and they will sort you out with food, resources, and also XP for your journey through your Minecraft 1.19 survival world. If you've got thoughts for any other really awesome Minecraft 1.19 starter farms that don't require any blocks from the Nether or the end, let me know in the comments below. And I will look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.